And right then, my truck, the dumpster truck outside decided to bang around. So that's great. Gotta love it. Welcome to the show. This is TravTalks. Talking to Anthony A. Perez. He's got a movie review channel on YouTube. Introduce yourself, Anthony.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Yeah, I got a movie review channel. It's just my name, Anthony A. Perez. Definitely go check it out. Just
Couldn't
review
be
all
more
kinds of
simple than that.
movies. What's that? Yeah, couldn't be more simple than that. You're absolutely right, dude. Like it's straight up. I tried to come up with a fun, cool name for my channel when I first made it. I was thinking of all these different names, Star Wars related names, movie related names, but then you find that everybody has the really cool names, or everything else is just a little too generic. And after a while, I was just like, all right, that was holding me back. It was holding me back from starting my channel. And then I realized, you know what? I'm just gonna call it my name, and if I have to change it at some point down the line, if my channel gets a little bit bigger, then I will. But for now, Anthony A. Perez, and I think it was the better decision, to be honest, because then I'm able to just do whatever I want with the channel rather than it being solely focused on one thing. Even though it is solely focused on movie reviews, and that's kind of the main push, I don't feel like anything is holding me back if I want to do vlogs or if I want to do music related content that I do intend to do for the future, stuff like
Yeah,
that. But
because this is
anyway,
your name. It makes sense.
yeah, exactly,
It's kind of
exactly.
how I feel with my channel. Is like it may be Trav tries. Like I try food and stuff, but like I've kind of got more like flexible with it, where I'm like I'm okay. Like I don't feel like it's too big of a deal to make like a vlog, like telling people I'm gonna stream tonight, or the Joker, like discuss like a impression reaction thing, because I mean like that's either way you're gonna end up getting views in some way. Like yeah, sometimes like having subscribers that follow a certain like what you do, like I've asked the audience several times, like, are you guys okay with me just kind of branching out? And a lot of people, and what I've learned through having a channel for this long, is like people follow you for you. I mean, yeah, they might, enjoy the type of content that you're doing, but if they can't accept you and what you want to do, then they don't need to be subscribed to your channel. You know
Yeah,
what I
no, I
mean?
totally agree. Yeah, for
Because,
sure. Like
like, and
that's
so, like, for yours just having your name, it's like that is solely you, and like I just like solely believe like that's just you 100% being yourself, not like a character of yourself, not anything else. And it's fine. Like if channels have like characters, some people have like a kind of like a thing that they're doing like a character, and that's cool. Like Nostalgia Critic from Channel Awesome or any of those people, like that's cool if it's like script or whatever. But I just never like the idea of like being fake or anything. So anything that you see for me is always like that's just me. Like and yeah, there's a little bit of like a energetic side to myself. Like I'm a very kind of more of a shy person in real life. Like I'm kind of like just I don't know. I have like social anxiety and stuff like that, but like on camera, like I feel really comfortable. So it's just everything comes out right there. So and I don't know, Anthony, if you I don't know if you kind of feel the same way, or if you're just in the middle of still kind of getting used to the camera. But
Yeah, I feel you on that. I definitely feel you because I've gained this anxiety that I didn't have before in the last like year and a half. I had like two my first two like anxiety or like panic attacks last November for the first time in my life, and I've always been a very laid back, chill dude. But yeah, YouTube has definitely been a helpful tool of just kind of being able to open up on my own. And I'm pretty good in social situations, but I noticed that after that situation, I found myself I would get like anxious just being around people and stuff, and then YouTube would be that thing that any anxiety I had during the day when I get in front of the camera and I could just ramble about I don't know Captain America for 15 minutes. It's just so calming, you know what I mean? So I definitely can relate with that.
yeah, it's really weird. It's like it's not a person, but for some reason, it's like I don't even know how to describe it. Like I know that I was really really shy in high school, and like I definitely like barely talked to anybody. But after I graduated, like a year later after I graduated, is when I started my channel, and it was just like once I really started to get used to like talking to the camera, I realized like wait a second, like this is actually helping me be able to be social in social situations at all. Like suddenly talking to the camera is like almost practice. Like it's really weird, but it happens. And I think you know, I think it'll still happen to you because, well, when did you start?
I started October 23rd of last year.
Dang, dude,
So,
you're almost on your 1 year. That's insane. That's
yeah.
awesome.
I know it's crazy, man. It's really wild because I feel like the time just flew by, and after
Oh,
years and years
yeah.
and years of friends telling me to start a YouTube channel, man, it was just one of these things that I just kept holding back on, or just, oh, I don't think I got it in me. But then what I started doing was I started reviewing movies on Facebook, and like I would take a screenshot of that Facebook post and put it like on my Instagram and stuff like that, and it was just for my friends and just kind of them to comment on. And then everybody just kept telling me, hey, you should like make a blog or something where you can compile all these reviews. And then I figured I'd be able to, if I did YouTube videos instead, I'd be able to actually articulate my thoughts a little bit better and get it all out. But no, man, yeah, I totally feel what you're saying, dude, about YouTube. It's like you said, like it's almost like practice. You know what I mean? Like with
Yeah.
certain things, I use it for myself. After seeing a movie, a lot of times I'll sit down because I just freeball all my reviews are just like just off the whim, just kind of just sit there and just let my mind run. Some people write notes. I already kind of know the big notes I want to hit in my head already, and so for me, it's like also a practice for like how I'm going to discuss the film with other people because sometimes I'll go about saying something in my review and then I'll realize, maybe that's not the best way to word that or to get my thoughts across on that specific topic of the film. So then by the time I actually am in front of actual other people who have seen the film and are talking to them about it, I've already been really able to work my thought process around it, you know what I mean, through the editing process and through just filming the reviews themselves.
Yeah, dude. And on that note, like, like, really, what inspired you the most? I mean, obviously, film itself. We can all sit and say, movies obviously is the number one thing, and the movies are amazing. And like, I feel like I've always felt like ever since I met you, you have kind of that, and I could just tell on camera too. Like, you just have this like passion for movies that I definitely have. Where as soon as you see a movie, you probably are like me, where you just have this urge to like just talk about it, like,
Yeah.
and that's kind of probably why you're even one of the at least one of the reasons you're even doing it. But like, maybe who or what really inspired you? You think if you could put it into words, you
It's
know?
it's tough, man, because there's so many inspirations for me whenever
Oh
I
yeah,
think back. So if I take it back all the way to when I was a kid, so Star Wars is my favorite thing of all time. I actually recently did a Q&A video, and somebody asked me what my favorite movie franchise was and what's my favorite movie, and I told them my general answer tends to be Empire Strikes Back, but
yes,
Star Wars is my favorite
my
movie.
man.
And whenever anybody says what's your favorite Star Wars movie, I always find it tough. I'll say Empire because it's my favorite chapter, but it's hard
Yes,
for me because I see Star Wars as just one big story. You know what I
oh
mean?
yes.
The whole franchise for me is flawed, right? There's different little things you can nitpick at, little funny things that don't hold up in each and every single movie. I think that people tend to hold certain films higher in the franchise than others and will crap on others for ridiculous reasons. But yeah, when I think of Star Wars, like Star Wars is just my favorite thing of all time. So growing up as a kid, my mom was a big Star Wars fan. My dad was a Star Wars fan. I have a few cousins who were diehard Star Wars fans, like Star Wars everywhere around their room, in their house, everything. So Star Wars has always been a huge part of my life. So that was my big entry point into film because I always had this one thing that I love so much, this franchise that by the time I was growing up, the prequels were coming out, and there was all these video games from the original trilogy, and there was so much of Star Wars that already existed, the books, all this kind of stuff. So then I started to fall more in love with that, and that trickled into me learning how the films were made and sitting there and watching behind the scenes, like the DVD behind the scenes, like making of kind of videos, and really falling in love with the process. And so on top of that, my dad raised me on a lot of like older films like Rocky, and my dad was a huge Sylvester Stallone fan. So as I got older, we would talk about things like Rambo and all these kinds of different things. And so my dad was really big on 70s, 80s films and 90s films as I was growing up. And so always that conversation. Like, and my mom was really big on that same era of films, but also older films. So through my mom, I grew up on things like Gone with the Wind, and my mom's father is huge on westerns and a lot of old black and white films. So that's something that I feel like I just inevitably watched because of them. And so through these different things and these different people that introduced me to different kinds of movies, these different kinds of TV series, old and new. I always just had such an appreciation for the art form, and as I got older, that just increased and increased and increased. And yeah, I could just think back to days where like me, my dad, and my uncle would be sitting in a room for like 3 hours, if not more sometimes. They're sitting there rambling about who should be cast and what, like fantasizing about like a Justice League movie or a Avengers movie, all this kind of stuff that at the time was a fantasy. You know what I mean? And now look at where we are. You know what I mean? So it's a long answer to just kind of get around saying like, yeah, like I just feel like film has just always been really prevalent in my life, and it's just always been very, 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 very what's the word I'm trying to look for? It's just it's always been there. It's just always been very present in my life, and I think that the diversity that I've been able to gain movie knowledge through my parents and through family members has really just helped me grow just overall appreciation for films, not necessarily one genre. Even though I have favorites, I love it all, man. I can sit there and watch a flick chick. I can sit there and watch a sci-fi, action film, and then I love horror. Then I can sit there and watch a drama. I can watch an animated kids movie. I can watch anime. It's just the
just
cinematic
film
things
in
in general.
yeah.
Yeah, cinematic things in general for me are just there's a magical place
You
where you
know,
just can shut your mind off.
and even if a movie isn't even that good, well, let me rephrase that. Well, let's see how I'm gonna say this. Like, even if a movie is just okay, but it's one scene was able to move me, then I'm already like, I mean, I'm not saying like, oh, this movie's amazing because of that, but I'm already satisfied. Like,
Yeah,
that's how I feel about movies, and I feel like that's one way that we all can connect through movies is because, I mean, it's like, there's just certain movies that just hit you hard, or you cry over it, or you get excited, or like, I mean, you're a Star Wars fan. Like, we all know how all the nerds felt all at once. Like, even if not all the nerds in the world were watching the movie at the same time, but you felt the like it. Okay, I'll just say this: you felt it in the Force whenever Vader slices through some rebels in Rogue One. We all freaked out.
yeah, definitely, man. Like, there's so many moments in. That's why I struggle, right? That's why I struggle with Star Wars to pick a favorite because even if some of the installments don't have the greatest um, execution on story or other little things, there's little moments in each film that make almost any film redeemable. I don't want to say any film, but um, yeah, I would say most. It's kind of like what you were just saying. Like, there's so many films that if the movie has, as long as it has positive elements, it can still be really enjoyed. Even if the movie sucks. And I think that that's something that's kind of gotten lost in today's modern criticism. More specifically, like with the age of the internet and everybody having their 2 cents. I feel like people have kind of just lost the ability to just enjoy a film. You know what I mean?
Before we even get into the Joker review, go subscribe to Anthony because you're gonna love his freaking intro. Like, every time, dude. Like, I was watching one of your videos the other night, and like I have an Xbox in the living room and in the bedroom, so like I can like watch YouTube and stuff in either room. So I like went to lay down in bed, and then I watched one of your videos. I don't remember what it was, but then the TV, I didn't know the TV was up so loud. And your freaking intro comes up, and it's like, da da no, like it's so like it was so loud, but it was like, oh my god, this is amazing when you have it up even louder. But obviously, it was like turn down volume. But I just thought it was amazing the way it was like, it's so Star Wars, like, and I know you did that on purpose, and I just like, it's totally the freaking, what do you call that? Like the hyperspace or hyperspeed or whatever. I literally always forget what that's called, even though I'm a fan. I have been for years. But anyway.
Yeah, like the light speed. You mean?
Yeah,
like
light speed. Why can I never? I don't know why I can never nail that down. I always call it like hyperspeed or something.
Yeah, I don't think you're too off by saying hyperspace or anything like that. Yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. You're right. I did obviously go for like a Star Wars, Lightspeed thing. What happened with that, actually, it all really just kind of fell into. I mean, I'll just go off on this tangent really shortly. But when I did when I started my channel, I had no intro. I had nothing at all. I was just kind of just jumping right into it. And then a buddy of mine named Jeremiah Erickson, little plug for him. he does 3D animations for people for like intros. He actually did one for my friend, the Big Rob Theory. And yeah, he just hit me up on Facebook and he just sent me a link to that intro. He was just bored. He was literally just bored. Made the intro for me,
And
like
you
with
were
the
like,
logo and
it's
everything.
perfect.
And I was
Like,
like, oh my God, dude, thank you. He's like, hey, I saw you didn't have an intro. Do you want to use this? I'm like, fuck yeah, hell yeah, I want to use this. Like, I don't know if you want me to curse on here or not, but I was
oh
like,
yeah.
hell yeah, I want to use this, man. So then he gave it to me, and he gave it to me with a certain song on it, something that he pulled from a YouTube video, and I spoke to the original artist of that song. If you go to my earlier videos, you can find that version. And yeah, I spoke to the original artist of that song. He was totally cool with me using it in the intro. I was like, all right. But as the time was going on, I found that I wanted to have a song that was specific to my channel. So then I kept that same intro, the visuals to the intro, and I sent it to my buddy Jesse, who he goes by Giano Joel. I definitely recommend this guy, both Jeremiah and Giano. If you guys go to any of my videos, in the description box of each and every single one of my videos, there's their information for the people who made my intro. So Jeremiah Erickson made my intro visuals, and then Giano, I just told him kind of a general idea. I actually sent him a couple Star Wars songs, a couple of scores. He does scoring and just soundtracks and music for a living. So he works for different TV series or different TV stations and movie studios, and he'll do music for them, whether it's commercial work or it's something that's going to be in a short film or stuff like that. He's incredibly talented. Like, I could not recommend the guy enough. And yeah, I literally just gave him the visuals, sent him the intro visuals, sent him maybe 3 or 4 Star Wars songs, and kind of told him the general idea I was going for. And that's what he delivered on, man. Like, literally within the next 2 days, that's what he gave me. And I couldn't have been happier. So yeah, definitely recommend him if you guys are ever looking to get
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
customizable
send me
music.
some links, and I'll definitely drop them in the description.
For
For
sure, man.
those guys. Okay, just to go kind of start into this Joker review, sort of like for Joaquin Phoenix to come into this and just like, I have a video on my channel where I said like Joaquin Phoenix is gonna be amazing Joker, and no one's gonna change my mind about that. Um, and I think I was right. Like, I really 100% enjoyed every second, like, of this movie. Like, it's not absolutely perfect, but dang, is it close. Like, as for a film that's like about this and like the violence, the like everything, and in the time, it's a whole other conversation that we won't get into. With the time this movie was released in, is just, there's so much controversy and so much like people are crazy. Because the only thing I'll say about it is, like, you didn't want 300 to get banned, so why are you why are you wanting Joker to be, and like 300 was basically a real event, so they can't say anything.
Yeah, no, man, I really enjoyed this movie. I had a great time with it. Like you said, I don't think it's perfect, but it's damn near perfect. And I similar to you, when I heard Joaquin Phoenix was cast in this, I already knew he was going to be amazing, and there was never going to be a doubt in my mind, simply because he's a very selective actor. The further he's gotten in his career, I don't know how many Joaquin Phoenix movies you've seen, but the further he's gotten in his career, you can tell he's a very selective actor. He's not just doing movies to just do movies. And that works for a lot of actors. There's certain actors that can be in practically anything, and their charisma will get them through it. So somebody like The Rock, for instance, right? Like, the movie doesn't need to be good, but The Rock, you put him in a movie, because you're gonna have a good time. It's for the most part, whether the movie's trash or not, he's gonna be good in the film. And in most cases, it's good movies. But he'll do a lot of different movies. Something like Samuel L. Jackson as well, very similar. But when it comes to somebody like Joaquin Phoenix, he's very artsy. You can tell, like, as far as
Yes,
the decisions he
he
chooses.
dives into the role with like all of his heart.
Exactly. There's certain actors that when I hear are going to be cast in something, they're going to do an amazing job. So, for me, I think of somebody like him, or I think of somebody like even like Jake Gyllenhaal. Like, Jake Gyllenhaal is another actor that I find that anytime he's in a role, he's going to commit to it 100%. And so, going into this movie, I had nothing but high hopes, especially once I started seeing the footage that was coming out. I already knew, based on the tone that they were setting up, I was like, this is going to be a very, very artsy film. You know what I mean? Very much a film that was put together not to be a comic book movie, but to just be a good, solid movie. It's very reminiscent of Martin Scorsese films like Taxi Driver. You know what I mean? It was,
Yeah, I
you could
still
tell
need to
where
actually
the
watch that because people are comparing it, and I've never seen Taxi Driver, but I mean, I probably will now.
yeah, no, for sure.
Um,
I definitely recommend it. Robert De Niro is fantastic in that movie, but a very similar concept. And there's a lot of actually homages I found when watching this movie that you could see where they were inspired to do certain shots and certain scenes in this film. And King of Comedy is another one. Martin Scorsese was, I may be incorrect about this, but if I'm not mistaken, he was meant to initially direct this film, but now then he ended up producing it. Just to know that Martin Scorsese was producing a film based on a comic book character is already fantastic. And then I feel like with Todd Phillips' direction, like all in all, like there's this. I feel like there was a very coherent feel to the film throughout the entire thing, and you can tell the kind of film that they wanted to make. They didn't want to make it some big action movie or something with a big climactic ending. It's really not about that. It's about being a really strong character study, and I think
yeah,
that they
it's a
were able to.
character development type of film. Like
Yeah, exactly.
and those are the kinds of movies I like. I mean, I know a lot of people that's like, not enough action, blah blah blah. Like not for this movie, but they say that for other movies, and I'm just like, it's okay for a movie to just breathe. It's okay for a movie to
Yeah.
just like let it be a person doing absolutely nothing in a room. Sometimes some of those movies that are like that are the best scenes in a movie. Like 12 Angry Men is one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's in one room the entire movie.
Yeah.
Like almost, I think it's almost 2 hours long, and it's just about a jury that have to make a decision in one room for the entire movie. Like, the fact that it's able to take me into it and glue me to the screen and it's all in one. And I also heard that about Buried, like with Ryan Reynolds. I've never seen that, but supposedly it only takes place underground where he is buried.
Yeah. He's
And
in inside the coffin. Yeah.
like literally that's insane. All I've heard is it's a great performance because it's just like he carries the movie because it's literally in one little place. So, it doesn't matter if it's like big spectacle or anything like that. I'm just glad people are enjoying this for just literally being a movie. Now, it does remind me of a comic book movie because there's like, mentions to other characters and stuff, and I'll let you guys know when we're about to spoil it. But overall, just quick thoughts if you haven't seen it is like Joaquin Phoenix gives a performance that like I never thought like I never would have guessed a few years ago Joaquin Phoenix is gonna be in an adaptation of the Joker. Like no, I wouldn't have believed it like at all. And the dude looks like the Joker. Like like Arthur Fleck just already before he even has the makeup on. I'm like that's like the closest, and I've said this in my impression video. I'm like that's the closest to like the shape of the Joker's face from the comics and Mark Hamill's Joker and like just that chin and everything like that. It's like I'm reading a graphic novel. Like
No. Yeah.
and the movie, I'm just gonna give credit to the cinematographer and all of them and all the people that made the movie. Just look, it is one of the better looking movies like ever. Like every shot is like somebody said on YouTube somewhere, and I don't remember who it was. Oh yeah, Late to the Party. He said, or him and his girlfriend said, that like there's so many shots that could just be a wallpaper on your desktop. Like just so many shots like that. It's like a gorgeous movie, and the soundtrack. I don't know how much you were taken by the soundtrack because I really want to dive into that, but like I was blown away by just the music in this film. Like there was some actual song track choices that I really liked, but I'm just mean like the score itself, the original score of the movie is like I love those like I don't know if it's like a violin, but it kind of sounds like I may be wrong. I'm like terrible with like those kinds of instruments, but like there's like a violin piece in this that is like really slow and like builds up kind of, and it's like so freaking epic. And like I'm a big fan of just scores in movies and like listening to them afterwards. Like I need to listen to the whole thing of Joker, the whole soundtrack, but absolutely blown away by all of that. Like just as a collective like film that like I never thought I would see, and like Joaquin Phoenix just killing it. Like absolutely loved it.
No, yeah, I totally agree, man. Like, I thought the exact same thing as I was watching the film. It's like, very interesting and well put together soundtrack as far as the actual song choices that were put in there. But then as far as the score goes, yeah, I said it in my review for it. Very subtle use. You know, it's not a very um it's not a very loud film as far as the music goes. Like there's not a lot of music throughout the film. It's very subtle. When it's used to really intensify a moment. You know what I mean? And even if it's just almost like sounds is what I'll say. Like it's music and it's a score, but sometimes it will just be this very ambient sound. It really just filled out the scene and kind of like really built up the tension that was given off by Joaquin Phoenix's performance, man. And yeah, to go back to what you were saying about him just having that perfect look. When I think of this film, and one of my favorite moments of him, where you can really just see the Joker in his face, outside of having the actual makeup on. There's this scene in the movie that you can actually see in the trailer, so this isn't a spoiler. But there's a scene in the movie where a car passes by and there's a person in the car in the back seat with a clown mask on, and they're just kind of like looking at him. And they make eye contact as they're passing by, and he's just staring at the person in the back seat as the car's driving by, and he puts his, like the camera's panned and looking at him, and he has this slow grin as he's staring at the person in the car and the car is passing by. And there's just something about his face in that scene that's just so creepy and just screams Joker. And I think Joaquin Phoenix he just ate it up, man. He just ate up the scenery. He knew what movie he was in, and really delivered 100%.
Yeah, because one thing that he did, I think, 100%, like, if a movie can make me believe that this is the person it is, like, when I'm watching it, it's Arthur Fleck. This isn't Joaquin Phoenix anymore. Like, if a movie can do that to me where it's like, I totally believe that he's this character, then you've done your job. He
Yeah,
really was Arthur Fleck with, it's not really a spoiler that he's gonna have, like, it's a Joker movie, but, like, he's gonna have, like, mental illnesses and, like, he's just kind of messed up. And to go ahead into spoilers, I'll go ahead and just say this, guys. Like, go see Joker if you haven't yet. Like, it's really a good time, and definitely, like I said in my reaction video to it, though, is like, if you have been affected in your life in any way, like from like people, family members maybe getting killed or like stuff like that. Like, I don't want to get too heavy on you guys right now, but I'm just gonna be completely honest, and I think Anthony can back me up on this. Is like, it's not for you if like you're really sensitive to that kind of thing. Like, it
yeah,
really is. This movie is really heavy. It's supposed to depress you. Like, like, I knew that going in. I braced for, like, this movie's gonna be freaking sad, but I'm doing it because it's one of my favorite characters of all time. Like, it's the Joker. Like, the guy that gets punched by Batman in the future. Like, it's like, it's the Joker. I had to see it, and like, with it being this character study, I was curious, how are they gonna do an origin story? And and a little bit of a killing joke were sprinkled in there for sure. But I just want to warn you guys of that haven't seen it. Like, don't go see this if you're sensitive to this kind of thing. I'm hearing stuff on Facebook about people walking out and like wanting to ban this film. You're not gonna get anywhere, by the way, with that. But
yeah. No way.
but like, the Joker has been this character for decades. It's like, there you go. Like, that's exactly who he's been. Psychopath, the clown prince of crime, villain of Batman. Like, this is who he's been for years. So, like, that's it. Like, there's a movie about him now, and it's in 2019, and that's the issue. Like,
Yeah, I
if
mean, and
this,
to play off what you're saying there, I definitely agree to, like, if it's something that just 100% doesn't call to you, if it's one of those things that definitely just it worries
if you
you,
don't
is
like
is it.
negative movies,
Yeah, exactly. Then
like,
just don't. I think you can get when you watch the trailer, you can totally understand like what this movie is and whether or not it's going to be your kind of movie. However, I also think it's important to stress something that for me has been an upsetting thing to see, which is people saying that the film glorifies this kind of person. And for me, though the film is about him, I don't think it makes him any sort of anti-hero or hero in any shape or form. I think that what the film for me does really well is at the beginning of the film, you can sympathize with this person. You have there's pity there. There's this element of recognizing, hey, this guy, he doesn't fit in. He gets beat up. He's got these issues. He's got a dark past. He's got a history
But yeah, but then by the end
of
you're like,
lying.
what are you doing, Arthur? Like that's
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
like that's what
But
you're supposed to
the
feel.
film has this very fine line where you go from pitying and maybe having some sympathy for this person, to then realizing that this is a person to fear. You know what I mean? And I think that that's something for me that I think is really important to stress about this film, because people are really painting the wrong picture. You know what I mean? This isn't a film that glorifies this kind of person. It's more a story of how this can happen, how you could get to this point. And also for me, I walked away with the impression of like, what can we as individuals do when we
Exactly.
see somebody like this? You know what I mean? Like, what are those little moments where you could just be kind to somebody? Because, obviously, we're going to get into spoilers now, but this isn't really a big spoiler. But there was a number of points in this movie where Joker, he chooses to spare people that were kind to him. You know what I mean? So he's not out there just to kill people. He also, he is messed up. He makes some very poor decisions in the film. He does
There's
become
there's some
the
love
clown prince
down
of crime.
down deep. Yes,
Yes, but
definitely.
there is really a person craving attention, a person craving a place, love. You know what I mean? And more than anything, a
For
big theme
peace, yeah.
was honesty. You know what I mean? Like a person who felt like people weren't honest with him because of who he was, and uh, and they didn't listen to him. You know what I mean? And I think that's a really important thing to it's a touchy subject for sure. And if you are somebody who has suffered loss at the hands of one of these people, and I could totally understand what this is a movie you totally want to skip. However, I think for the rest of us and for anybody who watches this, the important takeaway outside of this being Batman's villain and it being an awesome movie and talking on it
Yeah.
from an
A
entertainment level.
fictional character.
Yes, exactly. A fictional character, but with a very realistic take. So I do understand an extent of the controversy, but I think it's important that people know that this film does not glorify it. You're not walking out saying, "Hell yeah, I want to be Joker." You're walking out saying, "Damn, like that guy, he's messed up." And it was really interesting to see this man's, descent into madness. And I think it's crazy, right? Be that we have there's this reaction to this going on right now. Yet yearly there are multiple documentaries and now live action, biopics made about real life serial killers all the time. There's a fascination about what makes these people tick, and I think that this movie did a really good job of showing us how somebody can get to that point, and again, asking those questions of how can we go about being even that small light in somebody's day to avoid them becoming somebody like this,
Yeah, like over 10 years ago, we got The Dark Knight and we got Heath Ledger playing that role. And literally, we lived in a time where no one said anything because they loved his role so much.
Yeah,
And it's like almost backwards now, where it's like it shows you how like the times have changed over the past like 10 years. It's just like Heath Ledger got like no crap. He only got standing ovations. And then Joaquin Phoenix also knocks it out of the park as maybe just as good or if not even better, and like he just he's getting crapped on for it. But that's just the way it is, the way the world works. And um but um but yeah, because I mean the Joker in the Dark Knight, like he basically won a whole lot in that movie. Like he won multiple times in that movie.
yeah,
Like at the end of the day, did he get sent to Arkham or whatever? It's like, yeah, but he twisted Harvey Dent. He killed Rachel and it's like, and if you haven't seen Dark Knight, then whatever. Like it's like that's way too late. But yeah, like he wins a whole lot in that movie, and like and a lot of deaths and all this stuff. But it's like, but no, everyone
yeah.
loves it. It's like, because you gotta
He
have
blows up a
that.
hospital.
Yeah, yeah, that was. I love that shot from the sky where you just see it like crumbling. It's like so good. Some of the
Yeah,
Christopher
it's such a
Nolan's.
great scene, but it's also this thing of like, yeah, like you're making a very, very valid point. It's like the Joker in that movie was already the full-fledged Joker. This is a film about this man slowly getting there. He's not mass murdering in this film. Whereas in the Dark Knight, he's
Yeah, he's been
causing some
Joker for a
serious
while.
issue.
Yeah,
Yeah, and he's like doesn't really care like who he's killing. You know what I mean? Like he's like literally he kills somebody, puts their dead body in a Batman suit, hangs their body, and throws it over a building, it has that slam into the
I
glass.
just
You know
want
what
to
I
know
mean?
what
Like,
an origin story would have looked like of like Heath Ledger playing. Like it would have just been regular Heath Ledger. That's kind of weird to think about, like the way he looks. Like,
yeah, no,
like
that would have been really crazy though. That would have been, I think that would have been really interesting to see a film like this with Heath Ledger's interpretation of the Joker. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Maybe get a little. But I think what makes Heath Ledger's Joker so awesome is like the mystery behind his character. I think that that's what people have always enjoyed about the Joker. Um, is that like, there's been multiple interpretations of his backstory in the comics, and then in the Dark Knight, anytime that anybody asked or he would tell anybody about his scars, it was a different story every time. You know what I mean? So there was that mystery behind his version of the character. So I really like what Joaquin did and how it definitely differentiates itself from any of the other
in
interpretations.
one way that Joaquin Phoenix is different to me, and we'll just go ahead and call it spoiler alert. We're just gonna go into spoilers now, but the laugh, dude. The laugh is like there's Mark Hamill, and then to me, right as of now, second place is Joaquin Phoenix as for live action because Jack Nicholson, like, I've never really. It's like no offense, Jack Nicholson, love you to death. Like he's an amazing actor, but I never cared for his Joker, and I never really cared for the laugh either. But Heath Ledger, we got these little sprinkles of it in The Dark Knight. He really doesn't go into the full blown, like crazy, like not a lot. We get it, but we don't, like, in The Dark Knight. But with this, it's literally, like, a part of the actual story, which I loved. They finally did a take on Joker where he, like, laughs a lot. And you would think, like, oh, he's probably going to get to the Joker point in his life and then start doing that. Like, no, then it's just, like, slapsticked together. Like, it's just barely sewn together, script and plot. But no, they actually gave it a health reason. And Ashley's a nurse, and she cleared it up with me, and I didn't know this, but that's an actual health condition. Like,
Yeah,
a real-life health condition, like, I forgot what it's called, but, like where you just like you get nervous and you just start laughing uncontrollably and you can't stop. And that was a really good plot device for this movie because one of the reasons that pretty much the main reason that he killed the people in the subway was like he couldn't stop laughing and they wouldn't quit messing with him about it. So it's almost like his laughter had a part in him becoming the Joker, like in a way, and it's just like everything's really ironic but beautifully, like it's really good writing. Like I
yeah,
was really like I didn't expect to go into this movie and like think, oh, excellent writing. I knew it was going to be a great looking movie. I knew Joaquin Phoenix was probably going to kill it, but I didn't think like some of the nice little surprises. I literally never saw the health reason coming. And I was like, that is so good. Because when he was laughing at the very beginning of the movie in front of his therapist or whoever that is, like, I was like, what's going on here? Like, he was just laughing and couldn't stop. And I knew something that was like there was going to be a reason, but couldn't really figure it out. And then he like clears it up, with the kid and like trying to make him laugh. Which, by the way, I felt so bad because it's like he's literally doing no harm. He's literally just trying to make this kid laugh because, like, he literally, he wants to bring laughter and joy to the world, like his mom, like wanted him to do and everything. And like he just, I don't know, just it was there's so much depth to this movie, which is why I want to see it again soon because I know like all I've heard from people is that the next time you see it, it's like you're gonna notice more and like
of course.
probably and like it just seems like one of those types of movies where and my buddy Dylan agreed with me. He's like, oh, for sure, I can totally see how like it would be like it would almost be like a new experience. Like this movie, like I'm trying to keep it all in order here as I go through it, but like it had me on edge so much. Like it's been a while since I've seen a movie. Like I mean, I don't really watch a whole lot of horror. Like sci-fi horror is my favorite kind of horror, like Alien and stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
that's my favorite kind of horror. But this movie, like, it's gonna be a different experience seeing again because I'm gonna see the surprises coming. So I'm curious as to is that gonna like kind of ruin the experience or kind of just like make it better because I'll spend more time like not on edge and more of like analyzing stuff. But like I was terrified when he was holding the gun, dancing with it. I was just like, that's gonna go off at any time, and like and all of this. But let me backtrack to the beginning of the movie real quick, and I think you're gonna have the same opinion on this. Okay, so one of the big things, like right away, right off the gate, I knew Joaquin Phoenix is like, yep, he's already amazing in this movie. Like the poster that I got from the theater is the poster of him, like stretching his mouth like to make a smile in the mirror, but there's like a
Yeah.
tear. There's a tear from his makeup,
Yeah. Yeah.
like coming down. Okay, on that scene, I immediately was like, "Oh my god, it's Joaquin Phoenix," but I believe that he's this character because I see the hurt in his eyes. I literally already was like, "Oh my god, there's so much pain there." Like there's so much, like he like smiles and then he like basically almost cries. Like I was just like, "Oh my god, like that was beautifully acted and like just I already see the pain." Like I
Yeah, no, I totally agree
absolutely.
because there's this. Not only is there that pain, yeah, like you said, like that pain. There's this when he lets go of his hands. He has for those of you who are just listening. Obviously, he puts both of his fingers into both sides of his mouth to try to force himself into a smile. He's got the tear coming down. Obviously, it's a he's very forced smile. And when he lets his fingers out of his mouth, there's this he gives this reaction in his face, not only sadness but almost like this disappointment that it didn't cause him to actually smile. You know what I mean? And then going back to his laugh, like you were talking about, yeah. So he has the medical condition that forces him to laugh. And what I loved about those scenes and the performance he gave is that he did such an amazing job of looking like somebody who was genuinely laughing, but also in his eyebrows and in his eyes was able to give off this concern and this pain, and almost like when he was trying to explain to people that he can't help it, that he's holding back this. He's trying not to laugh, but he's incapable of it. You know what I mean? And yeah, man. I what I also loved is that because of the fact that he has this condition and he laughs so much, and you would think with this with the Joker, you wouldn't even think about it this way, but he has a fake laugh. You know what I mean? He has a fake laugh to fit in with people. That like it's more of like that high pitched laugh that he would do because he doesn't really know how to laugh really. You know what I mean? And that's like the
Yeah, he
one.
like walked away from his friends, and it's like a shot of like the camera kind of backing up and with well, not following him, but he's like following the camera, and just that one moment of like he's laughing like ah, ha ha, and then he just see him go full blown straight faced once he's like they're out of view.
Yes, exactly.
I love that scene because like the reaction of the theater was priceless. I heard people like WTFing behind me like, "Oh my god." Like they loved that because it was so like he exaggerates the laugh so loudly and then just goes straight to serious, like he's just suddenly like, "And now back to my painful life," like basically in his face.
Exactly. Yeah, like
And
he does such a good job of towing that line of like he really does such a great job of showing the sadness in a person who laughs so much, and they want to make other people laugh, and they want to have this happy smiley life, but their body forces them to laugh so much, and then he wants to fit in with people and has this very
I
just
was
odd
generally creeped
laugh.
out
And
by him too through the whole movie,
yeah,
and like, cause he's, I literally had this vibe. Like I was like, if I saw this dude on the street, I would literally probably. I mean, it sounds harsh, whatever, but I'd probably literally try to avoid. He just, I don't know, like they did it on purpose. Like they made like his whatever they did, his clothing, his everything, just like and how shriveled up and skinny he was and everything. A lot of emphasis on like on his shape and stuff in this movie. He had his shirt off so many times in this movie, and I'm like, like there's something to that. There's a reason they're doing that. They're trying to show his literally his physical condition and all of that, and like, and I never really, I mean, I've given that thought. I mean, in like the Arkham games and stuff, I always remember thinking like, okay, the Joker's pretty scrawny, but I never really gave it much thought. But like that is kind of a part of his character, is that he never really took care of himself anyway. Like, I
yeah,
mean, he does, but like, I mean, in this movie, he's just like laying on the couch smoking cigarettes all the time, like
yeah,
and stuff like that. And I love those scenes too because if you notice, there's like two or three times he leans in different locations in the movie. He leans back in his chair, puts his head back and like smokes a cigarette.
Yeah, and
And
would almost like push his chest like forward, so where his
yeah,
ribs were so so pronounced. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
his they were just so focused on. Yeah, so I totally agree. There's also that really weird shot that you saw from the trailer where it's like from behind and he's like trying to stretch out his
Yeah, I
clean
was like
shoes.
always wondering what's he doing, and then it pans around. I'm like, oh, he's just stretching out shoes. Like,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
he's not like cutting something or doing something really creepy. It was just shoes. It's okay. We're good. We're good, ladies and gentlemen. It's just shoes. He's not Joker yet. Calm down. Now, calm down. Just someone in the theater. I'm gonna leave. Calm down. Calm down. He's not Joker yet. But
One element that I'm excited to revisit when I see the movie again was the one element that I was actually a little down on. You know, obviously we're talking spoilers now, but when I was watching the movie, the one thing that I kept thinking to myself that felt rushed, like I felt like everything was done so well, but the one thing that for me felt rushed was his relationship with the neighbor, played by Zazie Beetz, you know, the girl that he comes across with the daughter in the elevator, and I
any
just kept
Atlanta
feeling like,
fans? Anyone? Anyway, like I love that. Atlanta's
is she
like,
in Atlanta?
yeah, she's in Atlanta, and so is the mail guy, the paperwork guy behind the counter. Like they're both from Atlanta. I'm like, that's amazing. They got like the cast of Atlanta, like basically in this movie, and I loved that. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No, no, you're good. You're good. I didn't know that because I actually don't watch Atlanta, but I've
Oh,
heard really
it's
good
it's
things.
so good. You gotta check it out.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I keep hearing. But yeah, like so, you got Zazie Beetz, and she plays this neighbor that he comes across in the elevator, and you know you can tell that it's kind of like he's kind of into her a little bit, and yeah, as the movie goes on, he invites her out. You know, they kind of he like at one point like knocks on the door of her apartment, and he walks in and kisses her instantly. And I kept thinking to myself, as I was watching, I was like, okay, I'm fine with this, you know, whatever. Like, where is this gonna go? But I felt like it was rushed. That was the one thing I kept thinking as the movie was going on. Like that relationship felt rushed to me. And then you find out later on in the film that he made it all up in his head. You know what I mean? So that's one element that I'm really interested to see how it plays out with the knowledge that you know the twist that it was all made up in his head. That's one thing I'm definitely excited to revisit about the movie because yeah, I didn't see that coming, to be honest. I just
I'm
thought it was
one.
a rushed
Yeah,
element.
I didn't see it coming either. And like my friends, when we walked out, like I asked them about that, and they're like, "Oh no, I pretty much figured it out." Like as soon as he started like making out with her, and they basically, oh, and like he was like, like my friends were like, "Yeah, I pretty much figured that out. There's no way she would have went for him and been okay with him coming in there and doing that." But then I was like, yeah, but like there's been movies like that before that do that where it's like somebody does something that gives them a rush cuz he had just killed people, and killing those first people like literally is was his turning point. Like he like I believed it. I believed that he literally killed these people, and now he's like really confident and like a go getter more type, and then it's like why not go in there and kiss on your crush a little, it's
Yeah,
like
and speaking
like
of which, that scene after he killed the people on the subway, one of my favorite scenes in the movie when he's dancing with himself in
dude,
that
I
public
know. It
restroom
was
that he
his way
locks
to
up.
cope with it. And I'm like, oh
Yeah,
my god, that's insane, but I love it. Like, it's insane in a good way. He spreads his arms out, and you just see, like, him basically, the Joker in the mirror. Like, it was basically just, like, such a creepy, like, dark atmosphere in there. And I love the poster where it's, like, him dancing, and it's just his face, like, looking up. Like, that's, like, straight out of a comic right there.
yeah, definitely. And
Um,
he's all like sweaty, and it's like the most imperfect, just right like shot of the character. And
and and,
I
and
really
I
thought it
didn't
was a great
I
scene.
didn't expect it. Like I didn't connect the dots when he goes in there to hide. I'm like, wait, is this the dance scene? I didn't know that at all. That I was like how what's gonna happen? And all of a sudden he just starts moving slowly, and I'm like, oh wow, like it just like these things that you don't expect just kind of happen, and I think that's one of the best like gifts from this movie is just like the unexpected. Not really, and there's a lot of movies out there where you can pretty much predict things plot for plot, but like this movie definitely was like kept me on my toes. Like I didn't know what was gonna happen. Um, because I mean we never because for one it's like we never really have seen visually, like, unless you know it's happened, well, it has happened in like movies, like the Killing Joke animated movie and stuff. They kind of touched upon it and stuff. He's a stand-up comic, yada yada. But in that version, he already like had a wife that was like pregnant and stuff.
The violence that was in this movie was purposeful, if that makes sense. Like, it was always used to push the narrative forward and get the characters to another stage. This isn't like a film about a mass murderer that just decides one day to just go out and kill a bunch of people. You know what I mean? Like, it's all a little bit more. I want to say, but a little bit more planned out. And I love that every kill kind of took his character to another level. They obviously had the initial, set of guys that he killed on the subway.
Yeah, he starts to like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That at the very end when he, big spoilers, but when he kills Robert De Niro's character and the way he goes about it, there's just something about his face in that moment, what that did for his character after the humiliation that came from Robert De Niro's character earlier in the film. And I just love that they didn't. Again, this film doesn't glorify this kind of person, but it also isn't overly violent. So it's a film that when the violence does come in, it is violent when it does happen. But there's one death in particular that's pretty violent. But it's not sitting there trying to be some really gory film. And I think I enjoyed the fact that on that level it was tame and it was used when necessary.
I haven't even complained about anything with this movie, but I have like maybe one complaint that I'll save for the end of this. But before I get to that, the whole Thomas Wayne thing, I am so happy that, and I want to know if you thought this was coming, or like if you thought the same thing. But like, I was so afraid that they would make Alfred the killer of Bruce Wayne's parents. I was literally like, please don't do that, because then it's just Batman 89 all over again.
Yeah.
I don't know if you thought that, or maybe you even thought like, oh, well, his parents will be killed by the end. Even I thought they wouldn't even go that route. I was like, I don't know if we'll even see them die.
No, I didn't think that was the path they were going to take. I didn't expect that they were even going to die in the movie, that they would show that. But I didn't think that they were going to go the route of Alfred being the killer for sure.
I'm just glad they didn't, is all I'm saying about that. Like, I'm just glad that, like, it just would have made it too on the nose that, like, oh, the Joker is the actual killer, so then Bruce has a reason to become Batman and do all of that. Plus his little interaction at the gate, which, by the way, I had chills, like, all down my...
You meant, real quick, you meant Joker, you meant Arthur? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Oh, because you said Alfred at first, so I thought you meant like...
Oh, Alfred, my bad. Like I said, Arthur, Alfred, yeah, close, but yeah.
And you said Batman 89, I'm like, man, didn't Joker kill the parents?
So no wonder you had confusion in your voice. I kind of was like, I don't know if he's completely, like, 100% following. I think I've got his attention on this.
I was like,
definitely
sure.
Glad that they... And a minute ago, you're like, yeah, I'm glad they didn't do that too. Like basically, I could tell too. It's like, no, Arthur. Yeah, I don't know. My brain, it's early.
It's early, man. It's early.
It's early. But Arthur Fleck, which Affleck, people are trying to connect that, and I'm like, yeah, no, it's not the same universe. So get over it. I don't know if like they named his character that for that. I don't know, but Arthur, I almost had to think about it again. Like, did I say Alfred again? Arthur did not end up killing his parents, and I was so relieved that was not a part of the plot. Because I think that just would have ruined... That would have just put it too on the nose, but he is still the cause in a way, which is sticking close to, like, some of the comics and stuff, so I thought that was really nice. By the way, let me just say this. Nice credits movie. Like, the old-fashioned credits and stuff, and the way Warner Brothers came up, and it was like the old Warner Brothers, I was like, that is really nice. Speaking of, at the part where that says the end, it's the only part that I liked about the very, very end was his last line, which is, he's like laughing. I was like, I'm just thinking of a joke. And then she eventually says, after like a lot of like drawn out Like, you want to tell me what it is? And he just says, you wouldn't get it. Like, that's a good last line for the whole movie. But I remember just thinking, okay, it's panning out of the people cheering for him, and he stands up on top of the car. I really thought it just was going to end right there. Like, it was like panning out, fading to black, and then all of a sudden he's in, like, Arkham or somewhere? Like, why? Like, he was already free. Why is he in Arkham again? Like, I just, like, I don't know, that whole, like, scene, he's walking with the blood-stained shoes and everything. It was a pretty nice scene, but that was probably my only complaint of the whole, like, a scene that just felt kind of out of place. I don't know. Am I crazy on
Yeah.
that, or did
No,
you,
no, I could definitely say. I
or
would
maybe
say
you have a scene somewhere too, if you want to name one that's just like, this is kind of like, maybe could have been trimmed down or something.
Yeah, well, to comment on the one you just said, like I can see what you're saying. Like it definitely, when you think of the rest of the film, it's almost like a forgettable one. Like as you were saying it to me now, like I remember the scene for sure, but I always thought to myself, well, yeah, like there is that scene too. But I think like the majority of the movie for me, the strength of it is really more of just like that street level, very dark and grimy kind of like look and feel that a lot of the rest of the film had. Obviously, outside of the ending. As far as like a negative that I have, that's tough because my biggest negative, like I said, was that element that felt rushed with Zazie Beetz' character, and then you come to discover that that's intentional. So then it's this thing of like, okay, well, that's not really. You can't really criticize that element of the film because I was misdirected. You know what I mean? But as far as like if there's another scene that really took me out of anything, I don't really think there was, man. I think there was a couple of scenes that maybe just throughout the film could have been maybe the pace could have been picked up just a little bit. There are some moments that I felt were a little slow at times, but nothing very specific where I can point out and say, oh, this scene of the movie was definitely slow or not good. Like, I feel like most scenes were very crucial to the building of his character. And yeah, on an overall, I think that this is this is a near perfect film for me personally.
It really is, and it's been a while since I've been able to say a near perfect movie like about really anything. But when you watch a movie a few more times, I can always pick out negatives and positives a lot easier.
Yeah, of course.
So I definitely feel like this is gonna be one of those movies like people are gonna be talking about for a while. I'm definitely gonna be like, I'll probably see it, at least one more time in theaters before it leaves, and when it comes out on Blu-ray, that's an instant buy. Like it's like absolutely an instant buy.
Yeah.
Anthony, what I would ask you this, and I totally forgot about doing this in non-spoiler, but we'll just say it for the end of the spoilers here. But what would you give? And it's from a rating scale, I guess I'll just take it from my food reviews. 1 to 100, basically on a percentage type of scale. What would you give Joker?
Man, that's tough. I always have been the worst with rankings, but or like ratings, but because it always fluctuates. But I would have to say on an overall, I would probably give it a 90 or 90 to somewhere between 90 and 95, maybe like 92, 93. Because I think when you really look at this movie from an artistic standpoint, take away any biases or any sort of thought process of like what the movie's about itself. Incredibly well acted, incredibly well shot, very eerie, very well put together score and soundtrack that, in my opinion, really elevates the scenes and elevates the characters. And on top of that, tells a very compelling story that has the ability to have this kind of discussion. And I think that any film that allows you to have this much discussion afterwards, really, that's what you want out of a movie. Whether the movie's fantastic or not, I think whether if a film is able to spark conversation, I think that that's the most important thing. And so to have all those other elements that artistically make it very unique and very well put together and very cohesive storytelling. And also, not only that, to take a character like the Joker and bring it into such a realistic, grounded element and such a deep character study, you know what I mean, and remove the comic book, heightened elements that come with a comic book story and make it a very grounded telling. I think that that's where the strength of this film lies. And so anybody that's given this film negative reviews for me, it's hard to really take their opinion on movies entirely seriously because I feel like there's just too much here that even if you didn't like certain elements, there's too much talent and art on display to dislike this movie at all for me, really. So I'm going to say On an overall level, the pacing could have been a little bit higher, but I would say probably around like a 90 to 95.
I'll give it a 97. I really loved it that much. I almost gave it a 98, but then I was like, oh, it's being really nice. But I mean, hey, 1 point. What's 1 point? Like it's really hard to like with movies and even with food. Even it's like it's hard to like. Even Jeremy Johns said it recently, really well. He worded it really good. It's like where like movies just like we all change. Like we could go to sleep and wake up tomorrow and feel differently about a movie, like just because I don't know, something about the day is different, or like or whatever. Like the mood changes, your mood changes through like we're just very complex people with a lot of stuff going on, and like we just change, and we could 5 more years down the road, this movie could be a totally different perspective. I have that all the time because like all going back to Star Wars, like I loved the prequels as a kid and everything, grew up with those. That's what got me into Star Wars. But I look back on them now and I'm like, I still enjoy them slightly, more mainly episode 3, but like they're not very well, they're just not, I just don't really care for them that much anymore. I think we pretty much covered all the points that I really wanted to. Usually when I do these kinds of reviews, it's like there's probably going to be something I'm going to think of later, or I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night like, wait a second, like I could have said that. But at the end of the day, it's like as long as I get a lot of points in, I'm pretty much satisfied. But I would definitely like to thank Anthony Perez for coming on the show. We'll definitely have to do this again, man. Like maybe we can do like a full blown, like, and I know you'll like this, but like just like we talked a little, we dabbled a little bit in Star Wars, but it made me realize, like, man, it'd be a lot of fun to just talk Star Wars with you. So we gotta definitely like find time to do that sometime.
For sure, man. I could talk Star Wars for all. Like, there was a few moments in here where I was like, let me just be quiet real quick and let Travis say what he has to say so we can go in a different direction. Because I'll just talk Star Wars until I'm dead, man. Until I'm blue in the face, honestly. So yeah, I would love to do that, man.
Yeah, dude, we'll definitely have to do it again. I think we finally found a nice little nudge of window of time that we can mutually get together. Because I'm going to tell you guys, usually with these guests, what ends up happening is I've always struggle to find, like, the time to do something with, like, and me and Anthony have been, like, planning this for, like, I mean, since the beginning of the whole plan, it's been, like, months, but I mean months just adding on to, like, trying to figure out, like, like, because our schedules seem to be very opposite. So it was very hard to kind of get him in here. But like, like last night, I was like, wait, how early do you get up? And he was like 6 a.m. I'm like, dude, I'll still be awake. Let's just do this. So yeah, I'm glad it worked out the way it did, and definitely subscribe to his channel, guys. Like I'll let you say any final words to the TravTalks audience.
Gotcha. Yeah. No. Thank you, man. Thank you for letting me come on here,
Oh
dude.
yeah,
I appreciate it. Just for, I guess, a little more context for the listeners. Yeah. Like I remember I commented on your Godzilla King of
I
the
can't
Monsters
believe that was the
podcast.
whole reason. That's insane. Like that's
Yeah.
like that. That's like I don't even remember why. I just decided to like I'll click on his channel and it happened to be a channel because you could have just been like a guy that's doesn't have a channel, but I don't know why. But I just remember clicking and being like, oh, movie reviewer. Like I was like, that's pretty awesome. I think maybe just because you gave so much like depth to your like reply to it or whatever. I was just like, oh, okay. Like he really um really gave me a lot of like good word on that. I was like, is this someone that actually paid attention to the podcast?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well,
you
see,
know,
I make it a point whenever I do reviews, and I do it with every single movie that I review, is that after I review a movie, I purposely look up reviews or podcasts on that movie that are lesser viewed reviews and ones. So like anything like and
it's
lesser in
crazy.
meaning
Mine was
like
suggested, and that's crazy.
yeah, like lesser than like what's it called? Like like if it's like at 1,000 or if I won't click on it. Like not that I won't, like if somebody I'm already subscribed to, I'll click on it. But if it's less than 1,000 views on the video, I'll typically go check those people out, go and just see what other people who are on in growing channels like myself are doing. So then when I came across your video, I was like, oh, this guy has like a full blown like podcast, and I listened to it, I believe, while I was driving, and my drive to work is a little lengthy sometimes with traffic, so it was just like the perfect. It fit in perfectly, and I had just seen the movie and just reviewed it, so I always like to see what other people are saying, and sometimes I'll just take that and kind of like, oh, okay, I could have worded this better for the next review, you know what I mean? So then I came across yours. I remember commenting on it, and you were just one of a few people that I had watched their Godzilla videos. And then I remember that you hit me up on, I think it was on Instagram or on Facebook, one of the
I
two.
think
I
it
think it
was,
may have been
yeah,
Facebook
Twitter or something like
or
that. I think.
Twitter. Yeah, I think it was Twitter. I think it was Twitter. And yeah, and then it just worked out, man. We just hit it off right then and there. So I've been
Yeah,
watching your stuff
you know,
since.
I reached out to Anthony because of what you guys are gonna see whenever you click on that link down there to his channel. Like just a shameless plug, but it's like, yeah, when you click those links, guys, like seriously, like this guy, like I feel like the reason I wanted to even bring him on is like the way that he talks about movies is like kind of this very similar to the way I think about movies. And you know, you might and Anthony might review movies that I really don't care about, like Chucky or stuff like that. But it doesn't matter because he's into it, and like I want to know his opinion just for literally the fun of it. But I also love whenever he reviews movies that it's like, um, that I really really like, and that actually makes me want to go back on. I don't know if I ever watched your King of the Monsters review, so I'll have to check that out because I'm like a freaking huge Godzilla fan. So I'll have to see your thoughts on that. Unless I did. I don't know. My brain is not working. But anyway,
I feel like I think you did, but I mean, I post so many videos that I
yeah.
can totally understand what if you
But
didn't.
definitely like yeah, and you know, and it's just fun. It's funny how life works like that because like Aaron Dwyer, the artist of like he draws Godzilla and has all this art and everything, and he was on that episode with me to do that, and like just to think like me and him struggled to do that episode. Like it took a while to like get it scheduled and everything, and like we actually did a whole Godzilla discussion before that. And I said in that episode that's on my channel, like we struggled and we had audio issues and stuff like that. And then like we were able to do that, and so it's weird for me to think about the world where it's like we struggled to do that, but we finally got that review uploaded, and then like I meet Anthony through that video, and it's just like it's crazy how that works. Like one thing that you do can just change something in the next few days or whatever. Like, which is why I always tell people like if there's anything that like you've always wanted to do but like you just hold back through fear or whatever, like just don't think about it and just do it because you never know what it's going to change. And I never will regret doing starting the podcast, even though I don't upload it as much as I want to, but it's just because of real life and having a job and having taken the hour to edit it, actually more than an hour to edit it. You know, like it's the reason why. It's because I know that it somehow makes a difference in some way, whether we're talking about just films or just real life stuff or whatever. It's just literally the show about anything. Like it could literally be about anything. I think there's something really cool about that. Um, and I'll never, and as much as I want to upload more to it, like I'll never regret doing it, and I'm gonna keep doing it. But anyway, guys, that's a tangent. But yeah, Anthony, thanks again for coming on, and definitely subscribe to his channel, and you guys will be seeing us and hearing us and watching us and talking to us and I don't know why I'm saying and a lot, but you know, it is what it is. You guys have a good one. Trev out, Anthony out, and peace
Well,
out.
man, thanks, man. Appreciate it.